Hi, this is Miss Harmony, and this is Lupus Talk number 4. These are some things that I found to be inspiring or discouraging with my journey with lupus so far. I'm going to start with something inspiring, and one thing I found inspiring was talks of people going into remission. Like a doctor I had a friend or a best friend has lupus, and she was telling me how good she was doing, and she's got kids and she's back to working, and I find those stories very good and sometimes helpful. Something discouraging would be before I was diagnosed or when I was first diagnosed, I would be called lazy a lot, and I didn't know that was part of my disease was being fatigued all the time. And before I was diagnosed, everybody just thought I was lazy and tired and didn't want to do anything. But in all actuality, I was really tired. Something else I found inspiring is doing new research into lupus or trying to treat it or new treatments in lupus. Like the Benlysta, I know I can't get it anymore, but when I tried it, I almost felt normal, and that was great. But I mean, it's even just for the people that can get it, and it works for them. That I think that is so great, and now there are talks of even more drug trials, so I'm looking forward to that. Something I found discouraging is when somebody says, "Oh, I saw a story on that lady died, or somebody died from lupus." Like, who wants to hear that? Like, you don't walk up to somebody with cancer and say, "Oh, yeah, I saw a story on that on the news. That lady died." Nobody wants to hear that, especially if you have that disease. Uh, something else I find inspiring is people speaking out about lupus, like the LFA. And I recently learned the name of a lady called Sharon Harris, and she seems to be speaking out a lot about lupus, and that is very inspiring. And I also like informing people myself about lupus. I like to educate people. Something else that I find discouraging is when I feel helpless. Now, by feeling helpless, I mean not only in just my situation, I don't have any insurance, or I can't get the care that I need, but also helpless as in physically, like on days when I can't open my jar of pickles, or I can't pour a gallon of milk, or I can't get off the couch, and I feel helpless. I also feel helpless in my life situation because I really don't know where to start to put my life together. So that's discouraging. Something else that is encouraging is having a lot of family and friends that are encouraging and not pitying. There's a difference between being encouraging and pitying. And when I see somebody pitying me, it's almost like gut wrenching because I know that you feel bad for me, but pitying me isn't going to help. Encouraging me is going to help. I like the encouragement, and I appreciate everyone that encourages me, and I love you all. Something I find discouraging is when I end up with a new symptom, something I hadn't dealt with before. Like, after I got out of high school, just along with my joint pains and everything, I started getting blotches of red bruises all over my skin, over my arms and legs and everything, and it was totally painful. Like every one of them hurt or itched, and if I scratched it or anything, it'll just turn into a big bruise. That eventually kind of went away with some of the stress that I had, so I'm happy about that. Also, when symptoms that I do have don't go away, like it hurts to breathe, literally. Like even a deep breath, a yawn. If you have ever seen me yawn, you know it is like this whole production of me making weird faces and trying to grab onto something. Like something simple as yawning can be totally painful, and I don't even want to think about the hiccups. No. Um, Something else that's encouraging is church. I know I said it does make me sad sometimes to go to church because I cry because I can't sing in the choir anymore, but certain things about church inspire me, like the scripture. There's one particular scripture that I like. It's from 1 Timothy chapter 7, and it says, "For God gave us a spirit not of fear, but of power and of love and of self-control." To me, that means being fearful for a moment. I, in the wake of stress or just being down or depressed or pitying myself, I had my little pity party or whatever. But then I realized that I have to get over it and realize what else is around me, like love and having the self-control to not make myself stress out, because I can stress myself out just by staying inside my own head. Um, what's also inspiring about church is the songs. Like I like Grateful, and it's slow and it makes me cry, but almost everything makes me cry, but it's inspiring because it makes me realize the things that I am grateful for. Although I have some misfortune, there are a lot of things that I have to be grateful for. I also like Joyful, Joyful, and if you really listen to the words or try to interpret them or anything, it talks about all the clouds and the doubt, and talks about God shining a light on it and pushing all that out of your mind. Now, you don't have to be a religious person to relate to these things. It's just very uplifting. The last thing that I'm going to say is discouraging. It's being stared at. Nobody likes being stared at. I mean, unless you're like celebrities don't even like being stared at. When when I was taking my final in that wheelchair, being pushed around or walking around with my cane most of the time, people would stare at me, and I'm like, I know I'm fabulous, but dang, do you have to stare? But seriously, I I really didn't know what to make of that, because I tried most of my life to like blend into the background and try my hardest to go unnoticed. So being stared at was kind of a new scenario for me. Now I have a couple of things that can go either way. Um, when somebody tells me I know somebody that has lupus, or you know, my family member has lupus, and I can sit and listen to those stories, and I like to talk with people about it, and we can conversate about it, and I guess it could go either way. I mean, the story can be encouraging, or you can try to encourage them and their family member. But I mean, I don't think it's like inspiring or discouraging, but you can really encourage the other person in saying that, and I guess tell them how to encourage their family member. Another thing that could go either way is news from your doctor. It can either be good news or bad news. Like some bad news would be your white blood cell count is low. Yeah. Or some good news can be your ANA count went down, which means your lupus is less active. Another thing that can go either way is stuff like WebMD or doing searches on lupus, and you find whatever you can on lupus. You like to be informed about it. You want to know everything that comes with it and everything. But when you start getting too deep into it, like seeing all the negative and, well, I mean it's negative, but I mean you see, oh, death here, death there, death there, kidney disease, heart failure, and you just kind of end up making yourself depressed. So that can go either way. I love being asked questions. I don't mind answering questions at all. You can leave a comment, like, subscribe, uh, ask me questions. I'm like an open book. I'm also going to be attending the Lupus Walk here in Detroit on September 7th. I will be giving more details on that at a later date. So, see you guys later.